You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Excited to be able to share today with you on this Training Thursday show the 5 beach or poolside isometric exercises to do this summer. Now, I know it's not summer all over the world right now, but if you live in a warm climate or if it is summer for you, and if you're at the pool, you're at the beach, you can still get in a fun little workout while either watching the kids or whether you're just hanging out with friends. You can actually just do a couple exercises that I'm going to share with you today that are isometric, which means you don't need to be bouncing all around. You can actually just kind of hold them for 1 minute each. That can actually give you a really great workout. So one of the things I want to do is always share things that I can do in my own life, that I'm doing in my own life, and that I see really working. And so it's funny because this week I'm in Maine. I'm on vacation for the week, and I was at the beach. And I saw this mom. She was with 3 of her kids, and she's on her beach blanket doing a plank. She's doing all sorts of different exercises, a bunch that I'll share with you today. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, okay, she probably has 0 free time. She's having a lot of fun hanging out with her kids at the beach. Her kids are running into the water, running out of the water, and she's watching them right there, but she's doing these exercises while keep an eye on them at the same time. So I thought, well, if she could do it and she's super busy, why wouldn't you be able to do the same thing while keep yourself in great shape? And she was in great shape. You could see that she obviously just found time throughout her day in order to incorporate some exercises. And that's really what this is all about. It's about a mindset, meaning that you don't need to carve out an hour to 90 minutes in your day 5 times a week in order to keep yourself in great shape. What you need to do is have the active mindset, right? It's the mindset where you're going to find the time no matter what during the day, whether it is at the beach, at the pool, first thing in the morning, at the end of the day, during lunch, whatever it is. And maybe you can get 10 minutes here and you get 10 minutes there. But that's the ability to keep yourself in that mindset of I'm going to do whatever it takes. And I love that because there are simply no excuses, right? Because if you come up with excuses, the bottom line is you're never going to get in your workout, or you're going to get in like once a week on the weekend, which is fine and that's great, but we know that's not going to get you the level of results that you want. It's also not going to lead to the strong bones to prevent osteoporosis later in life. Of course, that's just one of the reasons to prevent osteoporosis. And I would also say that you're not going to have the same quality of life. And we've spoken about this before. It's not always about body transformation, but what it is about living longer, stronger. So if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s right now listening to this and you're like, oh yeah, well, I've got some time. Sure, you've got some time, but here's the thing. What you're doing today affects you when you're in your 80s. That's the big deal. The foods that you eat today lead to the body of health or it leads to the body full of dis-ease. And so that's why it's so important. And again, I'm not asking for a lot. I'm asking, can you do 3 days a week for me of exercise? Really every other day. Can you give me every other day? Because if you can, well, I can show you a body that's going to be hopefully, and with enough time, full of energy, right? That's going to be strong enough. You're going to have that strong core, which a lot of the exercises I'm going to go over today with you, so that you don't have the back pain, so that you don't have the aches and pains and creaky joints when you get out of bed in the morning. And that's what it's all about. So what I want to do is share with you, very, very simple, 5 exercises. Okay, 5 exercises that are going to take you no more than, I would say, 8 minutes total to complete this circuit. That's it. Now, if you want to do it once, well, you have an 8-minute workout. Really easy, really simple. And if you want to do it twice, well, you're going to anywhere from 16 to 20 minutes because you're going to maybe take a minute or 2 rest in between that circuit. So really great. And again, you can do this anywhere. I came up with just a kind of a fun headline of beach or poolside, because I really believe that this is something that you could do while just hanging out, doing nothing else except hanging out in the sun. Or, of course, you could do this anywhere. You can do it right at home. Now, the reason I chose isometric, again, is not to be kind of bouncing around and need a lot of space. You only need your body length. That's it. And isometric means that we're simply going to hold this, right? We're going to hold it, but I'm going to add a couple caveats today because a lot of people hold a pose, which means they don't move. It's static. but they don't put the muscle tension in the right place. That's the big thing, is like a lot of people doing exercises, and myself and Ben Pekulski talked about this on our interview a couple weeks back, but they're not focused. They don't have the intention of where the tension should go. And so if you're not putting the tension on the right muscles, well, those muscles aren't going to respond. So you don't get the results that you want. And that we'll go over that today. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So here's what I'm going to do, because we're not going to even make a warm-up with this. Like a warm-up typically in my programs would be some type of dynamic warm-up. And I've gone over this before. If you want to know what a dynamic warm-up is or how to warm up properly, just go to stevencabral.com/podcast. Remember, it's a searchable page. It has a search bar. Just type in warm up or type in dynamic warm up or just type in dynamic. And you'll be able to see all the previous podcasts where I've spoken about dynamic warm-ups on these TT shows, Training Thursday shows. So check that out. The reason that this is not going to have a warm-up is that we are going to use this kind of like a spur-of-the-moment type workout that you can do anywhere, that you're not going to be doing the jumping jacks, the hand walkouts, et cetera, because you're going to be keeping your eyes on the water for your kids, or you're going to be keeping, just a lookout around your environment. That's all. Super simple to do, but highly, highly effective. And if you're used to just doing dynamic movements, which means like 12 reps at a time, 15 reps at a time, 8 reps at a time, whatever it is, this is holding pressure for 1 minute for each exercise. Very different and really challenging if you're not used to doing it. So I did this myself this week. So again, I'm always trying to practice what I preach. I really do that. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. No, I'm not perfect. And I've had a couple epic cheat meals this weekend on vacation, and I haven't regretted it at all. They've been absolutely delicious. But here's the deal. I did do this workout, and I thought it was fantastic. Really, it's really, really great. So check it out. Super simple to do, and there's a nice balance between upper body and lower body as well as core. So the first exercise we're going to do is the plank. Most people know the plank. I didn't want to give crazy ones because I'm going to write this up today on the show notes page. So just go to stevencabral.com/902. On that show notes page, I'll write out this workout, how many seconds to do for each one. I know that it's a minute now, but we'll go right into it from there. All right, so the plank, there's different ways to do the plank. There's the forearm plank, which means a low plank. You're going to put both forearms on the ground. You're going to keep your hips elevated and then the balls of the feet on the ground as well, with the toes curled a little bit under. What this is going to do is allow us to work our core. So too many people do the plank incorrectly by keeping their hips just parallel or below, meaning like sagging down a little bit. On a plank, you actually want your hips about 1 inch, maybe 2 inches above parallel, so that you're fully engaging all of the abdominal and core-based muscles. The obliques are working as an anti-rotational based muscle. We'll be talking about those in a moment. The transverse abdominis, the rectus abdominis, those are abdominal muscles. Again, I've talked about those on previous podcasts as well on the Training Thursdays. And of course, the lower back, everything's going to be working, right? Even the hip flexors. Now, for the upper body, the reason why we're doing this first is it does warm up the body. A plank is a great warm-up exercise. But the plank's also going to strengthen the chest muscles, the pectorals, right? The biceps is going to be working the anterior deltoids, anything that's supporting you in that plank-based position. Now, triceps are getting a little bit of work, but only from a stabilizing position. But this gives you kind of a replica of the muscles that would strengthen your body in order to do a push-up. But again, we're not doing dynamic exercises up and down. We're doing just static exercises, which means you don't move. You hold the pose really steady, like don't move at all. Just breathe normally. Breathe naturally. Don't try to change the breath at all. Breathe normally, in through your nose, out through your mouth. And you want to hold that for 1 minute or the best you can. What if the best you can right now is 20 seconds? Fantastic. 20 seconds is amazing. Next week, try to hold it for 30 seconds. Okay, and just work your way up from there. So the plank is great. There's different ways to do it. That's the low plank. High plank would basically be in a push-up position. Again, hips up just a little bit, keeping the core engaged. And you could hold a push-up plank if you wanted to, a high plank for 60 seconds. You could hold onto a stability ball, hold onto a medicine ball. There are a lot of different ways to do a plank. Let's just talk about the low plank today, 60 seconds of work. This is not meant to be a personal best, right? This is not meant to be, oh, I'm going to crush this workout. This is meant to be, I'm going to keep my body in shape. I'm going to get my body strong today, and I'm not going to miss a workout just because I'm at the pool, I'm at the beach, wherever I am, right? Or outside. So second exercise, and this is absolutely fantastic as well, the wall sit. I did this for years when I was practicing martial arts earlier. We would always do conditioning-based workouts. And so what we would do is we would put our back and head against the wall, and we would slide down to a seated position. So essentially what you would look like is you're seated, but there's no seat below you. So you want to try to get parallel to the floor, which means your legs basically look like a right angle. And you want to try to hold that for 60 seconds without moving. No movement at all. Core is still engaged. A lot of people miss that. And what I like to do with body transformation clients is actually have them roll their shoulders back so their shoulders touch the back of the wall, and palms face open with the back of their hands touching the wall. Palm faces away from you. What that does is that opens up the thoracic part of the chest, opens up the chest, and allows you to actually work on posture while you're in this wall sit. Wall sits can be fantastic for skiers, fantastic for martial artists, for anyone who does fencing. You're strengthening your quads, you're strengthening your legs in general, but you're also engaging your posture. Keep your head back, keep your spine in alignment. Really nice exercise. 60 seconds. You should be able to find some wall around where you are. But let's say you're at the beach. If there's a large rock, a lot of times there are boulders, things like that at the beach, you can put your back against that. Now, let's say you don't have anything. No problem at all. All you're going to do is basically get into a squat. What I like to call is kind of like the skier's position or the mogul position. You'll keep your hands in front or keep them behind if you want, or even overhead, and sit down into a squat and just hold that squat for 60 seconds. Remember, there will always be those people that say, oh, I don't have a wall, I can't do the exercise. And there will be those people that say, well, you know what? I don't have a wall, but let me see what I can do. I want the can do in you to come out. I want you to say, I don't have a wall, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the exercise happen. I'm going to get down in a squat, and I'm just going to hold that for 60 seconds. That's what it's all about, okay? So we just did an upper body core with the plank, amazing exercise. We did the lower body with the squat, the wall sit. And now we're going to go side plank, okay? We're going to go more towards the upper body. So the side plank, really important that we keep the form tight on this. That means you're going to lie on your side, literally ankle, knee, hip, all the way up to the elbow, shoulder, and then the air. Those are all in alignment, okay? That's your plumb line. Now you're going to prop yourself up on one forearm, your palm, or I should say your fist, you're in a fist, and the fist points away from your body. Now your forearm is actually now perpendicular to your body. It's going to be elbows right below your shoulder joint. Do not put your elbow up towards your ear or head. That can put undue and unneeded pressure on that shoulder joint. We do not want that. The elbow should be directly situated below the shoulder. A lot of people slide too much towards their feet when they're doing a side plank. The reason they do this is simply to make the exercise easier for them, right? What they're doing is they're actually trying to put more weight on their legs rather than their upper body. What I'm looking for you to do is this. I'm looking for you to work that upper body, sure, that shoulder, that forearm, everything that stabilizes in that glenohumeral joint in that shoulder. But also what I want is to work the obliques. So I'm going to have you now lift your hips off the floor so that only your forearm from wrist to the elbows on the floor, right hand to the elbows on the floor. And what I want are your ankle on the floor, okay? Now you're propped up nice and high. This is called a side plank, okay? There are different variations to a side plank. But you're going to hold that one for 30 to 60 seconds per side. Now, 60 seconds may be way too hard. I agree. Let's start with 20 to 30 seconds. This is one of those exercises that you really just want to do 20 to 30 seconds. It's not an easy one if you've never done it before. Much, much harder than a regular plank. So let's do 20 to 30 seconds to start, 60 seconds total, 30 seconds per side, if you can work yourself up to that. Now, there are different variations. Let's say that's too hard to start even for 20 to 30 seconds. Totally understand. Let's keep your knees on the ground and pull your feet a little bit into your body. And that will allow you then to have everything from your ankle up your shin towards your knee on the ground, your forearm on the ground. Now you can still push your hips up in the air. And that will allow you to still work the obliques, which are basically those muscles under the love handles, as we like to say. And that will still give you that great workout. Now, as you get better and better, you'll be able to straighten the legs out more, and you'll be able to lift the whole body off the ground, except for the feet and ankles and the hand towards the elbow. Really great exercise. And of course, once you're done with one side, you'll switch to the other. My recommendation in this is that whenever you're doing an exercise, not always, but let's say 9 out of 10 times, I won't explain all the different reasons why today, but you always want to start on your less dominant side. So if you're right-handed, start with your left forearm down. What that's going to do is just give you the time to then hold on the other side. So if you hold for 15 seconds, and again, you can just count, right? It's only going to be up to 30. Then you want to do the same amount on the other side. Really great exercise. Keep the form tight, keep the head pulled back, and keep the upper chest open. So again, different variations. What if you're phenomenal at this exercise? Great. We can still keep it at 30 seconds. And what we can have you do is put the top arm, instead of it on your side, all the way up in the air, up pointed up to the sky, so almost like a big T. Okay, that's a side plank with one arm raised. And if you're super advanced, you can do one arm raised and the top leg raised as well. Check that out. Super easy to find online just by going to a little website called Google. And you can type in side plank, and then you'll see the different variations or variations of side plank. And that will show you how to do all different side planks. Really great exercise. Love that one. Probably even more so than the plank. And the reason is you can get good at a plank. You can do 60 seconds of plank, pretty straightforward. But then after that, what happens? Well, you have to do a minute and a half, 2 minutes. It's just a lot of time for one exercise. So I like to make things more difficult and really just go for a minute maximum. That's what I prefer. But of course, everyone has their own nuances and individual preferences. So either way is great. All right, now the lunge is up next. This is a great one. So this takes me back to doing yoga. And a lot of the yoga poses we're holding for 3 breaths, 4 breaths, 5 breaths. And we're basically holding in that pose, especially in like a hot yoga. So what I want you to do is very simple. I want you to get into a long stance, 1 foot in front of the other. I'm actually doing it right now as I'm talking on this podcast so that I can demonstrate in my own head and then talk about it. All right. So you're in this long stance. Then what you're going to do is 1 foot in front of the other. You're going to keep the back foot on the ball of the foot, and you're going to drop the knee down to about 1 inch above the floor if you can hold that. Now the front foot, you're going to stay more towards the heel so that both legs look like a right angle. All right, you might even want to practice this one form-wise at home in the mirror before you might try it at a pool or beach or so. Super simple though, really easy. You're going to have both legs looking like right angles. How does that work? Well, the back leg, the knee is under the hip. And the front leg, the knee is above the ankle, not too far past it, because what happens is then we put too much pressure on the knee joint of the front leg. Ideally, you're sitting back into the front leg in your lunge, your static lunge, so that all the weight is in the glute. It's mainly in the hip and the glute. Of course, your quads are going to stabilize. You're going to be working your calves, your perineal muscles, all the muscles that stabilize. But what I want is you to sit into that front hip. Now, the back leg is really there to stabilize, and it's there to open up your quads on that back leg and hip flexor. You might feel a great stretch. Love this exercise. Do it quite often with body transformation clients. Now, you're going to hold that for 30 to 60 seconds. A lot of people will be able to hold this easily for 30 seconds. So you'll work up to 40, 50, and 60. Okay, very simple. And then what you can do is just switch to the other side, hold the same amount of time. Don't be surprised if the second leg is much harder to do after you do the first, right? Because you already worked, the other leg still worked, even though it's in the back. So what you want to do is just start with a little less. Start up maybe with 30 seconds per side. Go to the other side. How did that feel? Keep in mind, this does not have to be perfect. This is not meant to be a personal best. If your knee can't just stay 1 inch above the ground, do the best you can. If you're counting in your head and you're going to about 26 seconds versus 30 seconds on the other side, it's okay. One leg's not going to be dramatically different than the other. So don't worry about that. This is meant to be a fun exercise and fun circuit that you can do anywhere. So we just did our plank. We did our wall sit or squat, right? So we went upper body, went lower body, went back to the upper body with a side plank. Really great exercise, keeping that posture open again. Then we went back to the legs, but this time, instead of doing a more of a knee dominant exercise like the squat, we're sitting back into a lunge, getting it to be a little bit more hip dominant or more of a hybrid based exercise. Really, really great. And the last one I want to do today is the V pose. Talked about this before in the podcast. The reason I love this V pose, also called the boat pose, and again, you can look this up super easy online, type in boat pose or V pose, and all it is this. You're going to sit down on your glutes, on your butt, right? You're going to sit down, and you're going to wrap your arms around your legs. So you're kind of pulled into a ball. Now, what I want you to do is lean back slightly, but don't lose your center of gravity. Don't fall backwards, right? Just lean back a little bit. Feel your abs and core muscles engage. From here, what I want you to do is start to extend your legs out in front of you and up just a little bit at like a 45-degree angle. The best that you can. That's all I'm asking for. The best that you can. All right. Then after that, hold on to your legs still. Do you feel comfortable? Are you rocking back and forth? All right. Wait for yourself to get your balance. Then after that, you can extend your arms out to the side and your body will look like a V. Your upper body will be tilted back at about 45 degrees. Okay. Not rounding your lower back, not tilting your head forward, just kind of looking up slightly. And your lower body will be turned out at 45 degrees. So only your bum is on the ground and your upper body tilted back. You have your lower body tilted forward. So they're both at 45 degrees. It looks like a V pose. That's what it is. And your arms are just out to the side. What you're going to do in this specific position, you're holding for 60 seconds or the best that you can. It might be 20 seconds the first time because this is not easy if you've never done it before, or you might not even have had it in your routine for a while. This is one of those exercises, I've talked about it before as part of my morning routine. I do this every morning. I find this exercise to be foundational because everyone I see with lower back problems cannot do this pose and cannot hold it for 60 seconds. There's a weakness in the core that develops. This is one of those exercises that works your lower back, it works your obliques, and it works your abdominal muscles as well as all of the hip flexors. So that includes your psoas muscles as well. Because the psoas muscles people always talk about as tight, and I agree with it. Most people's psoas muscles, those are the muscles in the front of the body, right? In the hips, the hip flexors, right? But it's not the only hip flexor. It's just the most popular one we talk about. They get tight. But as they're tight, they're also weak. The problem with weak muscles is they can't hold you in the proper posture. So now you're tight and weak. So what we do in my practice is we help people, again, open up those hip flexors. If you're in Boston, Massachusetts, or around that area, and you would like to do some of this training, simply go to Stephen Cabral Studio. It's Stephen with a PH. That's our fitness center in Boston. Again, we have a wellness practice, functional medicine practice, but we also have a fitness practice that I pretty much never talk about. So, again, people ask me all the time. I'm not a promoter. I'm not any of those things. But what I want to say is we're able to help people if they have lower back issues, if they're looking to transform their body, get in great shape, all of those things. So anyway, what we always have people do, and the reason I mention that is every private client has to be able to do a 60-second boat pose. It's just part of it. We work them up. Of course, they don't have to do it day one, but when they come in we do a complimentary fitness consultation. And when they come in, if they can't do a 60-second boat pose, well, we just show them that. No one's judging you. It's not like that. This is a very private one-on-one studio. It's quiet. It's not a gym. And we just want to show people, like, listen, this is some of the reasons why your belly might be protruding a little bit, or your lower back might be arching. You might be getting headaches. You have to fix the posture. And I just love this V pose so much because if you're doing it correctly, if you're in that 45-degree V, and again, in the beginning, you might need to bend your knees a little bit just to maintain the position. That's okay. Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, as they say, right? That's okay. You can bend those knees, take some pressure off your back for now. But eventually, we're going to get you to the point where your core is so strong that you can hold this pose for 60 seconds with ease. It really is an amazing exercise. You'll see it in Pilates. You'll see it in yoga. You'll see it in all different forms of basically movement and exercise. And the reason is that it's a pose that the human body should be able to hold. So what do we have? We have an upper body exercise with the plank. It's core as well. Of course, everything's core today. Then we also have the wall sit or squat. That's lower body. Then we're going to go back to the upper body with the side plank, shoulders, obliques. Amazing exercise right there. And then we have the lunge. Okay, we're going to get back into those glutes. We're going to work the legs. And then we did two upper body. We did two lower body. And now we're going to do a core pose, a very specific core one with the V pose. Amazing exercises. Each one of those about 1 minute or so. If you do the lunge for 60 seconds on each side, well, then it'd be about 6 minutes. So we'll say anywhere from 5 to 6 minutes of total work. You'll probably have 20 seconds transition time, which means, okay, get up from the plank, find a wall to lean against at the pool, or if you're at the beach, there's nothing to lean against, you're just going to get right into a squat. Might take 20 seconds transition between exercises. You've got 4 transitions in there. So that's going to be, 4 times 20, 80 seconds or so. So we're looking at almost a minute and a half of transitions. And then after that circuit's over, if you're going to do it again, you might take anywhere between 2 and 3 minutes rest. So again, this is somewhere around a 7-8 minute workout with your transitions in there. How fast could you do it? Potentially 6 minutes. So really, really short. And then if you do it twice, somewhere between 15 minutes, I would say 16 minutes or so would be the total workout. Really great thing to do. I've done it myself. I'm going to continue to do it while I'm away. I do have some fun exercise equipment while I'm up here in Maine. I've got the battling ropes. I've got all sorts of great things that I enjoy doing myself. But this is one thing that I've already done myself, and I can see myself doing again while I'm just hanging out with my family at the beach. So hopefully today's show was helpful. Hopefully you learned more in the show than just the 5 exercises. That's what I always try to make it about. And if there's ever any questions, feel free to go to cabralsupportgroup.com. Let us know your questions right there. We're always happy to answer them. Exercise included, not just health or weight loss or anti-aging, whatever it might be. We're happy to answer all those questions right there. Thank you so much. Please do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it could help. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.